I'm the college and career counselor at Skyview High School, and I am here to tell you a little bit about the FAFSA. It is my belief that all seniors who are considering any type of higher education beyond high school complete the FAFSA, and maybe even if you're not sure if you want to go to college or to a community college or trade school or anything like that, I still recommend completing the FAFSA because it may change your mind. So it is my belief that all seniors should complete the FAFSA. It cannot possibly hurt you, it could only help you. Not completing the FAFSA could potentially hurt you because if you don't complete the FAFSA, there are some scholarships that you may not be eligible for. So please consider completing the FAFSA. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what FAFSA is, what you can get from FAFSA, who can get aid, how to fill it out, and then just some frequently asked questions. And as you have additional questions, if you are a Skyview student or a Skyview parent, please feel free to reach out to me, Mrs. Essman, Mrs. Hestand, or to your counselor at Skyview, and we would be happy to help you out. So what is the FAFSA? That is an acronym you've probably heard a few times. The FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The free application for federal student aid is a form completed by current and prospective college students in the U.S. to determine their eligibility for student financial aid. It's basically a document that you fill out to tell the government that you would like them to help you pay for college. You can get multiple different types of aid from the FAFSA, which is part of why I tell everyone to complete the FAFSA, because you really don't know exactly what you could qualify for until you complete the form. The first and most common is the grant. So a grant is free money from the government that you can use to attend school. It is based off of financial need, so a family with lower income is more likely to get grants. There are also loans. There are different types of loans. This is money that you borrow from the government and you have to pay back. There are subsidized and unsubsidized loans, as well as a loan called the Parent Plus loan. Make sure that if you do sign up for a loan, you are reading and learning all about each different type so you know what you're signing up for. There are pros and cons to each type of loan that you explore. The Career Center would be happy to go in depth with you on a one-on basis on student loans if you would like. Please set up an appointment. There is also work study. This is a lesser known type of financial aid that you are eligible for. It is money from the government that you have to work for. So it's basically getting a job on campus where the federal government pays you to do that on-campus job rather than the school. This money is non-taxed and you don't have to report it on the FAFSA. Work study is an incredible opportunity, and this is somewhat based off of need and based off of the funds available at the school where you attend. So who can get aid? Who can fill out the FAFSA? It is U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and then you have to be a graduate from a high school or you need to have a GED. So if you are a current senior who will be graduating in the spring, then you are the ideal candidate to complete the FAFSA. So now we know that we want to fill it out. Now you just need to know how. The very first thing that you need to do is you need to create an FSA ID. The parent needs an FSA ID and the student needs one. This is how you log into and sign the FAFSA. It also links you with the IRS, which makes completing the FAFSA so much easier. So it is extremely important that you create an FSA ID. I also recommend creating the FSA ID maybe a couple of days ahead of time so that it has time to be linked to the IRS before you actually complete your FAFSA. This allows the IRS to approve you and make your FAFSA far simpler. So please write down the login that you create for FSA. You will need it for all the years that you go to college. And if you are a parent, you may have more children who go to college and you may need to complete multiple FAFSAs. So please write down your FSA ID, keep it somewhere safe. You will need your 2019 tax return to complete the FAFSA, so please have that handy. You won't have to refer to it nearly as much if you have created and successfully linked your FSA ID with the IRS, but it is important to have it on hand because you will need it for some questions. Once you have your FSA ID and you've got your taxes ready, you can go to FAFSA.gov and begin completing the FAFSA. It will ask you questions about you, about your parents, about your family size, household size. It will then ask the school about the schools where you might attend. You can list up to 10 colleges and schools on the FAFSA, and you can always log back into the FAFSA and add additional schools later. Once you submit the FAFSA, it goes to those colleges that you have listed. The colleges are the ones who will actually make you a financial aid offer. So then you need to check your email for emails from the Office of Financial Aid from each school where you are applying. They are the ones who will actually give you your reward letter. You may be selected for something called verification. And again, this will probably come to your email that you use to create your FSA ID. So it's important that you check that. And if you are selected for verification, please don't be concerned. It's just some additional documentation that's required. And the Career Center would be happy to help you, as would the Office of Financial Aid at any school where you might be applying. It is not an incredibly difficult process, but it is an important one. So if you are selected for verification, please be sure to complete all of the required documents so that you can still get your aid. If you are selected for verification and you do not do the required verification steps, they may remove your financial aid. Couple of frequently asked questions. First one is just, is it really necessary to create an FSA ID? The answer is yes, please create an FSA ID before you start your FAFSA. That will make the process much smoother. If you do not create one until you actually go to fill out the FAFSA, it may be difficult. What about split families? So what about 50-50 custody? So you would put down the household where the child or student stays the most. So there are 365 days in a year. You will put the household where the student spends most of his or her time. This does not impact how you file taxes. Please do not be concerned about how the FAFSA would impact your taxes because they are not at all related. And then what do you do after the FAFSA is completed? I've already mentioned this, but it's extremely important that you check your email so that if you're required to complete any other forms, that you do so. And just a reminder that the aid does come from the college, not necessarily the federal government. You may receive some emails from federal student aid, but you need to also check any emails that come from the Office of Financial Aid at the college where you wish to attend. These are just some helpful links. Studentaid.gov, Sally Mae. The Skyview website has information on FAFSA with some tips. We also have a scholarship information page where you can learn about scholarships and other types of financial aid. And then we also have access to something called Idaho CIS, that's Idaho Career Information System. And it is an incredibly useful tool. There are hundreds of scholarships on there. I would recommend that if you are a senior this year, you set up a personal appointment with either Mrs. Essman or Mrs. Hestand to identify scholarships that you may qualify for and learn how to apply for them. This is just a brief overview of what the FAFSA is. You are welcome to complete the FAFSA on your own. In this email, I have attached the how to complete the FAFSA instructions. But if you need help, please attend our FAFSA completion night or set up an appointment with Mrs. Essman or Mrs. Heston to complete your FAFSA. You can get in contact with us by visiting the Skyview website, following us on Twitter, emailing Mrs. Essman, or by calling the school. Please let us know as you have questions and don't be a stranger. Thank you.